So you want to start bullet journaling, but either feel like A, you don't know where to start, B, there is just too much intimidation with all of the other creative bullet journals you see on Pinterest or Instagram, or C, you feel like it's just going to take too much time and way too many supplies that you have to actually buy. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to start your own bullet journal, whether you are a beginner or if you're looking for something to just try and is actually easy to manage. I'm gonna share the ins and outs of bullet journal terms, supplies, and also some easy bullet journal setups for you to use. I've been bullet journaling for about 4 years now, and I usually go through about 2 bullet journals a year. And I've experimented with everything from super creative and very detailed bullet journal spreads to even just the minimalist, like bare bones bullet journaling when I am in either a super busy season of my life or am traveling. So if you're looking for a system to help you with productivity, planning, organization, and then combining like cute, artsy, creative ways to express yourself, then I believe bullet journaling could be for you. Let's dive into this video. Before we get into systems and planning out your spreads and all of that other stuff, let's talk about what is actually a bullet journal. So this is my definition of a bullet journal. It is a notebook to help you track, plan, and organize your life and gives you creative freedom. The creator of the bullet journal is writer Carol, and the bullet journal was actually created back in 2013. It's now turned into a mix of creativity and art with productivity and organization. Although I believe when it first started, it was mostly used for productivity purposes. And now you can find bullet journals with daily and weekly to-dos. You can track your habits, books you've read, movies, playlists, exercise, honestly, anything. And for me, I like to use my bullet journal to basically keep track of where my time and energy is going. And it helps me stay on track with what I need to focus on for at least the day and the week, helping me zoom in on mainly the actions that I need to take to reach my goal. Before I go into any of the other things, I have a really important disclaimer I want to share, and that is that your bullet journal can be anything that you want it to be. It's really there to support your style of productivity, your style of planning, and your style of organization. It's really there to help support you either live the life that you are currently living and provide the support for that with systems and processes and all of that stuff, or to help you get to the lifestyle that you really want to live. And so whenever you see all of these different types of bullet journals and like super creative spreads or really minimalist ones, and you're kind of feeling like, gosh, I wish my bullet journal looked like that. Well, your bullet journal can really look like anything that you want it to, as long as it serves basically to support you in living the life that you want to live. So while I'm explaining everything in this video and talking about the different spreads and stuff, I just want you all to know that feel free to take what you want and take what works for you and then leave the rest if it doesn't work out. I trust that you all know what is best for you and what is best for how you work and how you want to show up in your life. And really all I want this video to do is to give you different tools to test and experiment with, or even a different perspective to try for yourself. So again, take what you like. Take this with a grain of salt, leave the rest. It is all up to you, because really the bullet journal is there to support you, and I cannot tell you how to actually like do a bullet journal right, which technically there's no right or wrong way to bullet journal. Whenever you're starting a new hobby or you're just exploring something new, I feel like there's always a whole bunch of vocabulary words that people within that community use a lot, and then if you don't know what those things mean, it feels kind of scary to try and do stuff. So we're gonna go over some of the key words within the bullet journal community, and I'm gonna share with you all some of the words and also what their definition is.
Bujo. This is just short for bullet journal. Key. These are the symbols you use in your bullet journal. The original bujo method uses empty and full circles, arrows, and lines to mark tasks done, incomplete, not started, or migrated. I like to use my own key based on how I understand what's done or not done yet. Index. This is a reference page of the months and logs in your bullet journal. Usually folks will put the page numbers so that they know exactly where to find information and the logs. I used to use this and then I realized I don't like numbering my pages and I don't ever look at my index, so I stopped using it. Theme. This is the general vibe of that month or set of tracking areas. It can be a flower theme, bubbles theme, etc. to keep things similar. For example, this is a fruit theme I had for the month of July. Spread. These are the pages in your bullet journal. There are different spreads like weekly, monthly, and other type of tracking spreads. Some of them could be habit trackers, for content, for books read, music played, anything that you actually want to track. Logs. Usually reference to your day and where you list out your tasks, events, notes, or other relevant information. Some people also keep track of their mood, the weather, or anything else.
If you made it this far into the video and we've already talked about the vocabulary and some of the things to keep in mind, now you're probably thinking, okay, this is awesome. How do I actually get started? What do I need to start bullet journaling? And we're gonna go over basically the necessities and then some of like the extra bells and whistles if you really want to get creative with your bullet journal. The first thing is, of course, a bullet journal notebook and then a pen. Really, you can use any type of pen. I specifically like these felt pens, so I will share my favorites next. But again, any notebook works. I also really like dotted notebooks, but I have seen other people use lined notebooks. Now that you know the necessities for bullet journaling, which is really just two supplies, now let's get into some of the more optional things. These are things to help you really express your creativity, help you get like cute with your spreads or artsy with your spreads, whatever they are. And these are just ways to make your bullet journal more you and to express more of you within the pages.
So everything I'm about to show you next is basically optional depending on how creative and artsy you want to get. Here's an example of some of the markers that I use for my bullet journal. I specifically like markers. I don't usually use colored pencils or crayons, but sometimes I will also use my watercoloring set. Other things that you can use are pastel highlighters to highlight specific dates, events, or any like titles. And then you can also get into washi tape and stickers, stamps, the whole thing. There are so many different ways that you can decorate your bullet journal if you want to make it more creative, more you, more vibrant, more colorful, or you can just totally stick with something neutral and keep it minimalist. You can use all of these to decorate the spreads in your bullet journal and add your own creative spark to it.
All right, y'all, we talked about the vocabulary within the bullet journal community. We talked about the supplies that you need or maybe don't need or can buy. So now let's get into how do you actually set up your bullet journal and how do you actually use a bullet journal? I think the most basic and simple way to use your bullet journal and actually set it up is to think about it kind of like an inverted pyramid. Insert inverted pyramid here. So what I like to do is I like to think about my yearly goals or a big picture of my year. Then I like to break it down into months, then into weeks, and then down into daily tasks. And the great thing about having this bullet journal is you set it up really to what works best for you. So for example, for me, I really like having, at least in the beginning of my bullet journal, a very big picture, bird's eye view overview of what my year is going to look like. This usually involves things like important dates, birthdays, travel dates, if I am launching something, if I'm selling something, if I know I need to take time off from work, things like that. I like to keep that in my yearly things, and then also I like to think about the goals that I want to have. So I can think of, hey, I want to get a Spanish driver's license. I want to pass my Spanish bilingual exam. things like that also go into my big picture like goal section at the beginning of my bullet journal. Then from there, we break it down into months. And in a couple of my monthly plan with me videos, which I will put into the video description box, I usually have a monthly dashboard alongside my like actual monthly spread. And within that, I like to keep track of the important dates that I listed out already in the yearly goals and dates and all of that stuff, and then keep track of them and kind of move those dates into my monthly. So now we go from yearly to monthly, and then within the months, I have weekly spreads. And within my weekly spreads, this is where I kind of just see the day-to-day of what the week is going to look like, what my events are, and then into my daily tasks, then this is where I keep track of what I need to get done for work, for being a creator, for personal things. I mean, I could keep track of doctor's appointments, I could keep track of tasks that say make a doctor's appointment, all of that stuff. Side note here, I love my bullet journal and I've been bullet journaling for 4 years, but my bullet journal is great to keep track of like very simple big picture goals. What I also really like to do with my bullet journal is accompany it with my Notion goal setting tracker, and that's where I keep track of like the big picture things and actually get like a whole year's like in one view. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I usually use about 2 bullet journals per year, so it's kind of hard to look back at what all of the like yearly goals that I wrote for myself because the book or the notebook changes. So that's why I like to combine my bullet journal with a digital planning system as well. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's get back into how to actually set up your bullet journal. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to start your bullet journal. These are 3 of my recommendations for things to definitely have, and then everything else is pretty much optional. So the first one is the grid page, and what I mean by that is it's actually just like a grid page. So if you are using a dot journal, this is where I would just put choose the beginning of one page or a page in the beginning of the notebook actually to count how many dots there are vertically and horizontally, and then as well count how many spaces there are vertically and horizontally. This is super helpful for anybody using a dot notebook for your bullet journal so that you don't have to count each time. You basically can return to this grid page to check and see how many dots and how many spaces you have vertically and horizontally. If you aren't using a dot grid notebook and you're just using a lined notebook, maybe this is where you can just count how many lines and spaces you have, so then you can also figure out measurements. Another spread that I think you have to have, again, take this with a grain of salt. If you don't care to have it, then by all means don't include it, but it is a future log. So just like if you buy your own planner, usually they have in the beginning pages of the notebook or the planner, they have like a full year look at all of the months and the dates, and basically like a giant calendar for you to return to. Since you are creating your own bullet journal, you won't have that. So I always like to add in a future log and give myself some space to write down key events. So as you know, if you buy a planner, most of the time they'll tell you like when the holidays are, when New Year's is, specific like religious holidays, tax day, things like that. But since you are creating your own in your bullet journal, you have to keep track of that stuff yourself. So I always like to add in a future log, and then in my own future log, I like to leave a little bit of space so that I can write important dates for me. So sometimes I'll write things like specific holidays that I celebrate. Usually it's birthdays under each month for my family and my friends. And then also it is definitely travel dates that I have planned. So here is what mine looks like right now. I made it into a Dutch door. I think that's what it's called, a Dutch door spread. And I add this into every notebook that I start. So even if I start a notebook for my bullet journal like midway through the year because I ran out of pages from the first journal, I will add in another future log so that I always have this to turn to and can look at, especially as I am drawing out each month by month. I need something to kind of just see, okay, what does everything actually look like on a year basis? And the last page or spread that I always have whenever starting my bullet journal is a cover page. So to be honest, I don't know if you always need a cover page, and this is something that, you know, is more personal preference. But for me, since I usually use like a notebook and a half or 2 notebooks and a half for each year, I like to have a cover page just so I know when a specific year starts and when one ends. So for example, here's my 2024 cover page, and if I flip backwards, this is already my December review. So once I flip over here, then I know that all of the months following, whether it's like weekly stuff, monthly, daily, it's all going to be for 2024. Again, I don't know if you always need this, but I like having one because it kind of like separates things for me. So when I'm flipping quickly through my bullet journal trying to look for something, I can actually see, okay, this is 2024 starting now, and I know that moving forward, it's going to be everything based off of 2024, and I'm not mixing 2023 or 2024, 2022, whatever it is, all in one. Oh, also, you can do your cover page however you want. You don't have to put the year or the date. I like to, just so I can see it, but again, personal preference. Okay, just to review, these are the 3 spreads that I always recommend when starting your bullet journal. The first one is the grid planning spread, and it's just so that you can count how many dots and how many spaces you have, so then you can kind of like measure while you're creating your own spreads. The second one is the future log, so that is a full year's worth of like calendar dates and the months, and then also it gives you space to write specific events that you have, travel dates, anything like that. And then also the third one is a cover page, just so that it breaks up the years, especially if I'm using one notebook for 2 years, for example. And then if you want to, then you can also add additional pages in the beginning of your bullet journal. These are again optional, and it really depends on what you want to keep track of and what you like. Some people put in things like their yearly goals. Sometimes people put in things like a bucket list. Something that I did for this year in 2024 is I've made myself a bucket list of things to do before 2025, and I just wrote down a couple things that I want to do. And then I am launching a new brand this year called Un Café y Sol. So this is just like a product brainstorming space if I wanted to jot down ideas and return to it. Again, this is all optional, and you don't need to add additional cover spreads or anything like that, or even additional spreads before getting into your monthly stuff. But I like to put this just as reminders for myself and just like some spaces to doodle or brain dump. Something else that I also did is I pick a word for the year. So I pick 2 words actually, one for my personal development and then one for my professional development. And I decided, okay, I really want to keep them front and center. So I wrote out to begin and then trust for also 2 pages for myself. They're kind of empty, to be honest, and I thought I wanted to add more, but you know what? I kind of just like it like this. Begin is my word of the year for my business, for me professionally, and trust is for me personally. And then once you flip the page, then I go directly into my monthly spread. When you start creating your monthly spreads, another thing that you can think about are themes. These are just different ways to kind of decorate your monthly spreads. A theme could be anything from like cats, dogs, fruit, vegetables, it could be things related to a specific holiday, it could be things related to a specific season, and people kind of choose a theme for each month. So then they can kind of incorporate those elements, whether it's like specific doodles or how you write, or maybe stickers or washi tape to match that theme. I usually like to do it whenever I'm feeling really creative and artsy, and also when I have a little bit more time and I know I'm going to be like in one place. And other times I don't really pick a specific theme. Sometimes I kind of just go by colors. So for example, if I am traveling or if I know that I'm going to be moving around a lot and won't have a lot of time during a specific month, I don't necessarily pick like jellyfish to be my theme because that takes a lot of time to doodle it all, and I want it to be nice and cute and pretty and aesthetic. And if I don't have that time, then I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna pick the color blue. And then with the color blue and all of the markers that I have and the stickers that I have, I kind of choose different variations. I could go into like a monotone thing, I can go into like an ombre, and it's a little bit easier when I am traveling. Again, you don't have to pick a theme for your monthly spreads or your weekly spreads or daily spreads or anything like that. It's really just to kind of creatively express yourself, or if you want to push yourself to like practice doodles or just like use a specific theme so that it makes it easier to decorate. Once you've got the beginning parts of your bullet journal set up, so for example, your grid planner, your cover page, your future log, and whatever other spreads you want to add to the beginning part of your bullet journal, next it is breaking down all of your yearly things into months. And this looks different for everybody, mainly because you all have different things that you want to track during the month than I have, based off of your goals, your priorities, your lifestyle, and all of that stuff. So I usually use my bullet journal to track things like a mix of work with personal. Some people use their bullet journal to track things like the books that they've read, or maybe their personal to-dos, or they're using it for study tracking. This all depends on where you are currently in your life and what is important for you. Nonetheless, let me share with you all what I usually put in my monthly spreads so that you all can have a little bit of an idea of what is possible. So I have my bullet journal here, and to be honest, my monthly spreads have changed over the past 4 years that I've been bullet journaling. In the beginning of bullet journaling, I used to try and track so many different things. So not only did I have like a cover page for the month, I also had like maybe 3 to 4 different trackers. And then over the years, after I have experimented with lots of different things, I realized, okay, this is the one that I definitely like. So for each monthly spread, I always add in a monthly cover page. So this breaks up, of course, the bullet journal, and when I'm flipping through things, I know exactly like which month I am in. And then something that I always add to each month is a calendar. So this is, I honestly have calendars everywhere. I'm not totally sure why. I might be obsessed with time, but I always have a calendar at the beginning of each month, so then I can always flip back and forth and look at it and kind of just know where I am at all times. Something else that I also add in the cover page for each month is a section for my intentions. And in my intentions, I always put joy and pleasure, personal intentions, and then business intentions. And this is just to help me keep track of things like, okay, what can I do for fun this month? What do I need to do to take care of myself, like personally? This could be like doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, taxes, all of that stuff. And then what do I want to focus on for my business? You can add in anything you want for your monthly cover page, but I always recommend at least having something to break up each month, so then you know when one month ends and another begins. Another one of my spreads for each month is my monthly dashboard. So if you have watched any of my Plan With Me videos, then you know about my monthly dashboards already. But this is, if you haven't watched them, then let me just quickly explain what they are. I used to, like I said, make lots of different spreads for lots of different things to track. So for example, I tried to track studying for my driver's license, exercise, leaving the house, getting dressed, doing my morning routine, doing my nighttime routine, and all of that stuff. And I realized that it was actually stressing me out trying to track all of that. So I've really consolidated it into what I call now my monthly dashboard, and it is the same thing each month that I track. So now my main priority is to exercise, follow my nightly routine, and then also study for my Spanish driver's license. So those are the only 3 things that I keep track of. And then everything else are just like important things to help me stay focused for the month. As someone who has a shiny object syndrome a lot, I get easily distracted from like all these ideas and brilliant ideas that I have throughout the month. And instead of trying to do it all, I try to really stay focused and, you know, work towards my actual specific goals and not let myself get carried away with what everybody else is doing. So that's what this monthly dashboard is for. For the month of April, I added in a YouTube tracker, but usually this could look different for everybody, and it also changes month by month. So for example, in December, let me look at my December one. I added in, I not only had like a December dashboard, but I also had a holiday present tracker, just so I could keep track of like all the people that I bought presents for, how much it cost, and what I actually wanted to buy them. Again, this changes on a monthly basis depending on like what I want to keep track of. So for example, in November, I had a monthly dashboard, and then I just listed out like a huge thing of November goals and what I actually wanted to do and how I was going to reach them. So again, it really depends, but the dashboard is something that I really enjoy having. Other people can put things like, oh, here are the movies that I watched, these are the books that I've read, here are the songs that I had on repeat. So they're just like different things. Whatever you really want to keep track of, you can add to your monthly spreads. Since I use my bullet journal as a mix of work and personal things for my weekly spreads, I like to mix, again, both. So each week I draw out my weekly spread, and then at the end of the day, I usually write in my tasks for the following day, and it'll be a mix of things that I need to take care of for work, and then for the business, and then for the creator stuff. In my daily tasks, I'll write things like creator, TQP studio, and then clients, and then under each of those headings, then I will put in the task for the day. And then whenever I finish it, I usually just color in the little dot, as you can see here, in red, or I cross it out. And something that I always put in my weekly spreads, again, is a calendar. I told y'all, I'm obsessed with calendars. So I always put in a calendar, and then I highlight the week that we are on, so then quickly at a glance I can see, oh, okay, this is like the week that we are in, and these are the specific dates. And then I always also put in an events section. And in the event section, this is for me to look at, okay, here's what I have on the agenda. If I have meetings with clients, if I have sales calls, if I have therapy, if I have like a workout class or something, or even if I have plans on the weekends, I can quickly look through here just to see what they are. Now, if I wanted to get super detailed, then I kind of go into my Google Calendar to see what time they are. But again, this is just for my bullet journal. So I can't tell you which system is going to be best for you within a bullet journal, because again, you know yourself best, and you know what you want to track and how you want to show up in your own life and what is a priority for you. But I'm not leaving you just with like that information. I do have a couple questions that I think can help you decide which system works best, what you want to add into your bullet journal, and what you want to actually keep track of.
How much time do you have, and how much time do you want to dedicate to your bullet journal? If your answer is no time, then I suggest a minimalist approach for tracking daily tasks that could be great for you. If you have some time, a minimalist approach and tracking a few more things like personal development or events could also be great. I would do this along with your daily tasks. Now, if you have lots of time or want to dedicate a lot of time to your bullet journal, then let's go for the whole shebang. Track it all. Track events, notes, important tasks, work, habits, favorite songs, books, movies. You can get really creative here. Now, what do you want to track or prioritize in your bullet journal? Some basics can be what you actually need to do. You can take a minimalist approach to track daily tasks and maybe important notes to return to throughout the week. If you want to track more things, maybe build in a few trackers or dashboards if you'd like to keep note of specific events, things to buy at the grocery store, important phone calls to make, or maybe how often you take a walk. Now, if you want to track lots of things, then I recommend tracking things about yourself, your productivity, mood, likes, dislikes. You can even track the weather. And you can use your bullet journal kind of like a semi-journal. You can build in more trackers, dashboards, and leave empty pages so you can have the space to journal throughout the month.
I've changed up my bullet journaling systems really based on where I am in my life, if I'm traveling, what I've got going on. And I think that's one of the best parts about having a journal notebook that you get to design yourself, because really depending on where you are today and what you need for next week, you can change up all of the ways that you track things. You can change up your weekly spreads, you can change up your monthly spreads based off of what your current needs are. And I think that's what is really awesome about the bullet journal, because not only are you creating it and adapting it to your needs and what you actually require to show up for yourself, it gives you the flexibility to test new ways of doing things, test new ways of tracking, test new ways of organizing, and then the next week, if you didn't like what you did last week, you can switch it up and do something completely different, or go back to a spread that really worked for you. That is honestly why I love bullet journaling so much, along with the fact that I can really be creative in my spreads and also be organized and just have fun with stickers and washi tape. I would say that's why bullet journaling is one of my favorite hobbies and really life components. So if you are feeling worried about actually starting the bullet journal, or kind of oh my gosh, I feel scared to commit to one thing and then not know if I like it for the next week, the bullet journal allows you to change that. So test, experiment. I think there's lots of great ways to try lots of different things in bullet journaling, and it gives you the opportunity to say, oh, this sucks, I don't like this, or go back and say, oh yeah, I really loved how I set this up. I'm going to repeat it for the following weeks. All right, you all, I feel like that was so much information packed into one video, but I hope that gives you at least the basics to start your own bullet journal. Before I leave you all with the freedom to just go and create your own bullet journal, there are 3 things that I feel are important to share. Number 1, your bullet journal does not need to look pretty. It just needs to be functional for you. It needs to be there to support you. So whether you don't have the time or don't even want to buy the supplies to make it super colorful and artsy with stickers and washi tape, and you just want to keep it minimal because that's what you need for your life, go for it. If you are the type of person who wants to use your bullet journal also for creative expression, you love maximalist things, you want to get those stickers, you want to get that washi tape and all of those markers, and that is what makes you feel good, go for it. Remember, your bullet journal doesn't need to be pretty, it doesn't need to look a certain way, it just needs to be functional for you and be there to support you with the systems to live your best life. Number 2. Okay, this is about to be the most cliche thing I ever say. I'm not gonna say ever because I could be saying more cliche things in the future, but this is about to be pretty cliche, but it is really never too late to start. If you want to start your bullet journal now, and I am recording this video in April and you are watching it in October, you can still start your bullet journal in October. You can start your bullet journal whenever you want, because the beauty of bullet journaling is that you're really creating it as you go. So you can pick a journal, a notebook, and you can start today. That is the best thing. And even if you don't use it and you kind of forget about your bullet journal and totally don't just leave it there for months on end, that's okay too, because whenever you are ready and whenever you want to, you can pick it up and just start creating the spreads again. That is the beauty of bullet journaling. It's totally customizable to what works for you. Okay, this is kind of a cheating one, but this is 2.5. 2.5. It is that you don't actually need fancy supplies to start. You really just need a notebook, any notebook. If you want to use line notebook, if you want to use dotted notebooks, a notebook, and a pen to start. Before, when I wanted to start bullet journaling, I thought I needed to buy washi tape, I needed to buy fancy markers, highlighters, stickers, the whole shebang. And really, I didn't need to buy all of that. What I just needed was a notebook and a pen to actually start tracking my habits, what I needed, tracking my tasks, and then seeing what worked for me, and then kind of customizing it moving forward. Again, you do not need the fancy tools to start. It does make bullet journaling fun though. Number 3, the last thing that I want to share with you before you start on your bullet journaling journey is that your bullet journal will not be perfect. And I hate to break it to you because I wanted my bullet journal to look super aesthetic and very cute and like Instagram, Pinterest worthy. And some spreads do look like that and other spreads just look like a chaotic mess. And that is okay. There have been many times where I have drawn out like an entire monthly spread or an entire weekly spread and realized that I dated something completely wrong. So I had to go back and scratch it all out and rewrite it, or I made a mistake and then I had to cover that mistake up with stickers. Your bullet journal won't be perfect, and that is okay. It's really there to help you experiment with different things, see what works best for you, and then you can adapt and change as you go along. I really do feel like your bullet journal could be a safe space to practice like creative expression, and creative expression is not perfect, and it's just what it is. Creative expression, like, who's gonna tell you that this is the right way to express yourself creatively or to organize or plan your life? If it works for you, then that's, I think, all that matters. All right, you all, that is everything that I wanted to share. I hope that this video gives you the tools and the information that you need to start your bullet journal journey and to feel excited about creating whatever works best for you. I've been bullet journaling for the past 4 years and it has honestly changed my life. It has helped me become more mindful, more intentional. It's helped me to be more organized and to plan ahead. It's also helped me to track like slow and steady progress when I feel like I am not doing anything or not making any progress. I actually can look back at my bullet journal and my trackers and see that I am slowly moving towards my goals. And that also helps me celebrate all of the little and big wins in my life. It's also helped me to feel more calm and intentional in how I show up in my relationships and how I want to just be as a human being. Let me know in the comments if you are starting on your bullet journaling journey, or if you are an avid journaler, or whatever it is. If you have any questions or follow-up things to what I shared in this video, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!